Hey everybody, happy Friday. I'm here at the shop. The guys are in the back making fun stuff. Matthew is home with his fam, and we're gonna get into it today. So, happy Friday. We're doing an AMA Friday today. So instead of doing it on the phone like I normally do, we're just gonna stick to YouTube today. So, hit me up with your questions, put it in the chat there, and I'll do my best to answer it. Pedals, guitars, amps, cables, all the things. If you've ever been a part of the Instagram AMA, you should know how this works. So let me know. But if you're here watching, give me a thumbs up. That helps share the live stream to more people. And yeah, that's it. So there's already a couple questions in here, not many, but we can dive into them. So the first one is from Brad S. Is it safe to play, whoa, there we go, let me move that over where it's not in front of me. Is it safe to play around with the bias on the cestus? Yeah. On anything that we make, you can adjust, well, on any of the fuzzes or boosts or drives or things, any internal trimmers are fine. So yeah, you can play with the bias on the cestus. That's why we put it there. I mean, that is also part of how we want to tune the circuit so it sounds consistent unit to unit. But if you want to change it, and change the voltage, that's why it's there. So knock yourself out. You might want to note kind of where it was so you can get back to it if you take it too far one direction and wind up not liking it, because that, you know, can happen. And we've all, if you're like me and you open up pedals, there've definitely been times where I've turned something and gone, well, I can never get back to how it was supposed to be. But yes. McNasty, I recently watched your Epiphone Les Paul special video and want to try the same upgrades with the Emerson wiring harness. What harness do you need for a special? Any Les Paul kit would work, but on a special, my specials in Matthew's office, it's the short shaft pots, so the 3/8 of an inch. Those are the correct length for the top and whatnot. Now, if it's a newer Epiphone special, you might not have to remount the holes for the potentiometers, but you might. So it's a good idea if you're doing that upgrade to buy some good step bits, because sometimes those give you a nice clean cut, or it can help you kind of creep up to where they need to be without just blowing past the correct diameter for a potentiometer. But yeah, any of those should work fine. I think we have a handful in stock at high voltage. So head to high voltage and you can get those. And upgrade your guitar. Those are great guitars and are really fun to upgrade. Hey everybody, Robert, how am I feeling? I'm feeling better. So for those that don't know, thanks for asking, Robert. I was under the weather. I'm just not feeling well. It's been, gosh, almost a week. I don't know what I got. I didn't get COVID or the flu. I took a test, but just felt like crap. And still don't feel 100%. I want to zoom. No, there we go. But yeah, so I'm feeling 80%, 78%. I don't know, getting better. Kyle, my 77 Les Paul Custom needs a refret. A little disappointed that I have to lose the nibs. I'm not usually fanatical, just wish I didn't have to lose anything. Should you just let it go? Some people can maintain the nibs, And if you don't know what a nib is, here, let me show you. So on a Les Paul or any bound fretboard guitar from Gibson, oh my gosh, you can see the little plastic hanging up on the edge of the fret. It's a tiny thing, but I'm kind of right there with you. If I ever had to refret a Les Paul, I would want to maintain the nibs. I know glaziers will do it, but I think it adds quite a bit to the expense of it. Ultimately, if you have a really good tech refretting your guitar and they dress the fret ends really nice and make it how it should be, then I think it's probably best to let it go, because basically to refret a guitar, to maintain fret nibs, you have to cut the frets, you know, to fit within the distance between the nibs, but also you have to account for, because, you know, frets are bent, and then when you put them in, they get flattened out. You have to account for that distance that gets pushed. So they have to really, you just got to math it out perfect, so that when you push that fret into the fretboard and it flattens out, that it just meets the binding there perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to have a gap, or it's going to be too wide and break the nib off anyway, which, you know, it would stink. So, if it were me, I'd probably just let it go and have it done super professionally, and, you know, that's just part of it. But I understand wanting to keep it. Ooh, Cam Bull. What's the difference between turning up the voice versus presence on the runestone? Voice is the tone knob. It's a, basically a low pass filter. And the presence is like it's like a high pass filter. So they're just two different tone options. But where they're placed in the circuit is different. So the presence is in a different place. It's just shaving off high end, or no, I guess they're both kind of low pass filters. I don't know. But they're the runestone and circuits like that are kind of bright, and so it's nice to have multiple options in different places in the circuit to fine tune the high end, so it's not just over the top and piercing. But they're in different locations and they interact differently. So, Jared, I like putting these up on the screen, but also if I ever want to chop this up and make it into like a short or something, sometimes that text gets annoying. Do you ever look back at your different steps in your career and feel like they were leading you to where you are now with Mythos and high voltage? Sometimes, you know, it's just been, I mean, the guitar store was not something I anticipated, you know, so I don't really look back at any of that and think, you know, I think it gave me the institutional knowledge and everything I needed to do what we're doing with high voltage. But the pedals, I don't know, it's felt kind of like a natural progression. It's a lot of hard work, but I mean, hopefully when you look back at everything you've done, you know, inevitably it's going to lead you to where you are, because, you know, where else would it have led you? If it led you somewhere else, then you wouldn't be looking at it that way, right? Oh, is it safe to plug and unplug pedals while the power supply is on? I always turn everything off to change pedal order, then back on, and it's a pain. Am I being too cautious? Yeah, it's fine just to leave the power on. It doesn't matter. Once you unplug it, it's, you know, you're not running the risk of anything unless you have a cable or something that has an issue that could cause a short. Then just plugging and unplugging is not with power active. It doesn't matter. Let's see. John Beck, have I built an amp? Oh, man. So, what would a hypothetical Mythos amp look like? I've always wanted to build an amp, and everyone says, oh, start with a Tweed Champ or Deluxe or something. I really just don't like those amps. I think they're fine. Tweed Deluxe is okay. But for me, I don't play a Tweed Deluxe and go, that's what I want. So all the amps that I would want to make would be a little more complicated. And I'd have full confidence in myself that I could do it. I just haven't had any of the time or mental bandwidth to dive into that. And honestly, there's so many great people making amps that I like supporting people as much as I like building stuff for myself. If there ever were to be a Mythos amp, what would it be? I would probably, well, I'd want to do something that's kind of like, it's like stuff that already exists. So it wouldn't be anything, super new and exciting, anything new and too crazy different. It would just be something, tweaked to my ear. But basically, I just love old school, like big Marshall and Fender tones. So I'd want something that's in like the 40-ish watt camp. Maybe it has a half power switch that could do something like a brown panel Deluxe, just bigger, without all that sag. I don't like the sag of that amp, but marry that with something like a Marshall. And oddly enough, there's companies that make that. Cutthroat Audio makes the Down Brownie, which I don't think it's that much power, but it's a marriage of both of those amps. And I love my Two Rocks and all my stuff, and it's all great. But if I had to like distill it down to make a Mythos amp, it'd be something kind of like that. Who knows? Maybe one day I could convince somebody to make that. Jacob, am I excited for Universal next week? So the fam, the guys will all be here, but my family and I are taking our little boy for his birthday to Universal Studios in Florida. So we're going to go to the Epic Universe and see Super Nintendo World and all that new stuff. Really excited. But I haven't been in a long time. So the only ride I remember really from Universal is the Hulk ride, which was really cool. Is it easy to make an 808 Tube Screamer top jack compatible? You mean to take one of these and put top jacks on it? No, it's not. It's not possible. The circuit board sits flush with this, and where the power jack is on an 808 or a TS9 or anything like that, it is like right behind that jack is the circuit board. So there's no, it's not just floating there. So there's no room to put anything here. The enclosure's not big enough. I think that's partly why they gave it this sort of like, shoe shape. So you'd have this little arch and can put the jack right there. I think it's a beautiful design. And, if you need tighter clearance and getting stuff close together, just get some of those really thin little cables. Dario makes some. They're really nice. Those really thin little patch cables. Oh, man. Okay. Greg Pepper. At local music shop, fair game to ask for bench time to clean up fretwork versus discount on the guitar. How much bench time relative to how expensive of a guitar would win-win for store? Oh, man. There's a lot to unpack in that question, but is it fair to ask for a discount versus asking for a setup? I think every guitar, if you buy it, should come with a basic setup that fits your needs, so long as it's, maybe not a $99, beginner guitar. Because most bench fees at a shop, $50 to $100, just to look at it, and I think that's fair. You have to pay people for their time. But doing fret work and things like that, you know, that's getting, you know, that's a lot of time, that's a lot of money, and I don't know. I don't know if I would ask for that unless, you know, it was something that could be remedied really quickly. If it was something like just, you know, giving the frets a quick polish or something. But ultimately for me, I'd rather get a discount and do that stuff myself. Because I'm just like that. Mark, do I prefer steel frets? No. I like nickel silver frets. Oh, okay. Oof. Mohammed, what do you think about the Blues Junior lacquered tweed amp? I'm thinking for your room. I don't like Blues Juniors. And, you know, this isn't a Fender thing. I love Fender. I think, you know, the Fender is awesome. But I just, I don't like the Blues Junior. I prefer the Pro Junior over that, but even that is like, it's got to be like dimed and like loud. But I think the Blues Junior is just a little too boxy, a little too, they just sound cheap to me. And I think for the most part, you're going to be better served spending less money on a newer modeling amp. I think you're going to get better sounds. Because like, sure, it's a lacquered tweed thing. It looks cool, right? It has a look. And admittedly, it looks better than a Katana or a Catalyst and all that. Like those amps, I love the way they sound. I love playing them, but they're not attractive, which I think is the biggest drawback to most modeling amps that exist. But I just don't think Blues Juniors sound good. You can mod them, you can change them, you can put them in a new cab, and they still just, they sound better, but man, I just don't think they sound good. So I'd save my money and buy something else, if that were me. Jason, which pedal in my lineup is closest to the ODR1? The Extra Hot. We're making some more, hopefully, soon. We've got some enclosures on order, so we should be able to get those back at Carter soon. What are my thoughts on Jim Lill's amp tone tackle box amp video? I don't know. I don't like all those sort of just like gimmicky like things. I don't find interesting or realistic. I don't know. Like, you know, I gotta look it up because, you know, Jim Lill is a YouTuber. He's trying to get you to click his stuff. Right? Where does tone come from in a guitar amplifier? Oh, God. Okay, I don't know. In a speaker cab. Man. Is this the one you're talking about 2 years ago? I don't watch his stuff. I have nothing against him. I just don't care. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. Did Matthew get sick or did I finally fire him? No, he is at home with his kiddo, or kiddos. I think he's just got one of them today. So they're hanging out. His wife is, she's got stuff she's doing, so he's being a good dad and taking care of his babies. Did I play my PRS Vela quite a bit? Yes. What are my thoughts about it? Thinking of buying one? I love the Vela. I think the Vela is like the most interesting guitar that PRS makes. And I love PRS guitars. I think the DGT and McCarty are like just the fabulous instruments. But the Vela, there's something cool about it. And I think it is the most approachable to non-PRS fans. And I think people should give it a shot. I really like it. And the semi-hollow ones weigh nothing. I think the one I had weighed like 5.5 pounds. It was weird. What do I think about the Walrus Canvas power supply? I have no idea. I've never even seen one in person. I don't know. Yeah. Those guys are nice enough, but I just never used any of that sort of thing. For me, power supplies, I've always used Chalk's True Tone, or, you know, Visual Sound, or Voodoo Lab. And then I have a board that I built and then I disassembled all the crap off of it. But the power supply that's under there is the Gig Rig Gen X14. And it was admittedly kind of hard to get the wires to snap in and get a really solid connection, because it has all the cordage and then little terminals that you push down and it bites through the insulation and completes the connection. And I kind of, found that to be difficult. It was a bit of a shit fight to get it to really make a solid connection, but it was cool, and it has a lot of power and a lot of options. So honestly, if you need a lot of power, that's probably what I would go with. But it's you do you. I'm sure it's like, everything's gonna work as long as you don't use anything really crappy. Then you're gonna be completely happy with it. Danny, ooh, great question. Do you ever run modern amps through a brown box? Is it more about protecting the amp or finessing the sweet spot? It's both. So yeah, people, I don't run stuff through brown boxes here for myself because we have a really constant and consistent 120 volts coming out of the wall, which is awesome. Not everybody can say that. So if you have like an amp and you're like, it's inconsistent in the sound, like one day it sounds great, the next day it sounds like crap, then you might want to try a brown box. We have them in stock. We have the Brownie, which is the smaller one, and then the brown box, which is larger. They're in stock at High Voltage Guitars right now, and it does allow you to experiment with voltage. So if you know that your amp head or your combo or whatever sounds better running at 117 volts or whatever, then you can always kind of get it in that ballpark, which is cool. Yeah, it is not solely a vintage accessory. You can use it for anything. And I think it's a really valuable tool, especially if you're gigging and you need to have that consistency night to night. And a little bit of added protection too, because it's fused. You're getting a little bit of separation from the wall because there's a transformer in there. So you're adding this buffer in between your amplifier and the outlet. And, we've all gigged and had nightmares where you flip on your amp and it's just boom, or nothing happens. And no one wants that. So, it's not like a cheap thing. You just think you spend willy-nilly. But I think if you want to take it, if you take your gigging seriously, you take your amp seriously, you have nice stuff and you want to protect it and operate it where it should be, it's a worthy investment and worthy of everybody's time to look into. Dormant, what do I think of Mesa Boogie amps? You recently got a Mark V and you love it. I like them. I really want to get a Mark II C+ reissue. But honestly, I need to go try all of them. Because I've played some old Mesa Marks, and I've played the usual suspects: dual rectifier, triple rectifier, Lone Star, stuff like that. And I like them, but I think for me, it would be more of a stunt amp. So I'd want to get something that's got some heat on it. Josh, where do I like the Argo Boost delay? There's a lot of questions. Holy smokes. In the chain, after fuzz, before overdrive. Yeah, that's where I would put it. Just got the Burnside combo. Go for clamshell or a slipcover cover. I have the one that you set it down into and it wraps around it and you zip it up for my Bloomfield, and I really like it. It feels really secure, and I like that it's completely kind of covered. So the Two-Rock, whatever the Two-Rock covers are, you have to be very specific to make sure you get the right one that fits your amp, because they have a bunch. They go over cabinets or the different size combos. Just be careful and get the right one. If you need to ask them, to shoot them an email. They're super supportive. But the ones that they sell are incredible, and I definitely would recommend it. Do I prefer the Analog Man 808 or the Keeley 808? I don't have a Keeley 808. I have a Keeley Maxon OD808 Overdrive, which is the little square one. And I do really like it. Honestly, I love that one. The Analog Man stuff is just I have every flavor of mod he does for his screamers, and I like them, but I mainly have those as a completionist sort of thing. Will we ever get to hear my old band that sounds like the Mars Volta? No, we weren't very good. Phil from the 40 Watt said that the episode I did with Phil on the 40 Watt podcast comes out today. So head over to Phil's YouTube channel or find 40 Watt Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and we chat about, I think we dive into like modding guitars and stuff like that. It's been a while since I've been on Phil's show, but Phil and I are fast friends, or became fast friends after we were on there, and we talk all the time, so we just decided to take those private conversations and put it on recorded format. So go check it out, 40 Watt Podcast. It's always a good time. Will all Mythos enclosures be like the Argo Boost Deluxe eventually? Hopefully, because of the tariff thing, and I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of hearing about that. It's caused an influx of everybody wanting to shift to that because the cost of cast enclosures, like this Hephaestus, is up in the air because is there a tariff on it or not? There was one this week, and then there wasn't, and there was again. Like, holy shit! Heck, let's pick a lane. But hopefully, one day soon they will all be like that. Outback Tone Shack, I've been good, man. Hope you have as well. I've been thinking about a new tube amp, Andrew. Been able to play a couple Dr. Z's in the store recently. Currently play a deluxe reverb and would love something that has a bit more grit, character, thoughts. Maz 18. The Dr. Z Maz 18 has a couple things going for it that you would like. I know it seems like 18 watts is not loud enough. It is. It's very loud. But the EQ should be really familiar to you. It kind of functions like a 3-band Fender EQ. It's voiced a little differently, but it interacts the same. But it has a great amount of breakup. The boost is really cool. The reverb's huge if you need it. It's got a master volume. It's just a Swiss Army knife of an amp. So you say you got to pick one, no questions asked. The gig is who knows what. The Maz is going to do most everything you need, except for maybe super high gain. And if you need to do that, you just put a pedal on. Thoughts on Strandberg? I really like them. I kind of want one again. But I'm not going to get one right now. Oh, Brian, I saw your email about that Epiphone 335, and I've been meaning to get back to you, but my sickness and whatnot hasn't... I just haven't had a chance to comprise my thoughts. The pickup covers are shiny, unless they're aged. I will do aged pickup covers. So I can do that, but I guess on that guitar, they're unpotted, so they wouldn't be that bad to get off and change. And then all the other metal parts you can buy aged. There should be an option on every product page for a drop down. And if there's not, shoot me a message about that part specifically, and if I can do an aged version, I will. There you go. Simple as that. Humbucker for Strat Bridge suggestion. Phil and I are doing a project, and we might have a good suggestion, but I don't really know yet. But you'll see soon. Since the store is opened, you have a lot of great guitars at your fingertips, but instead I'll ask about an old one. There you go. How's the Swope Show Pony still treating you? I still have the Swope. I've toyed with the idea of selling it, but then every time I play it, it's just really special. And I'm friends with Chris, and so I would feel bad to get rid of it. I didn't buy it from him. I bought it from Carter, and I do love that guitar. There's something really magical about it, and I think all the things that Chris does are really special. And honestly, if he would make more guitars, he doesn't really have time because he does the Descendant vibrato. But if he had more time to make guitars, that would be the first brand I would want to add to the store because they're incredible and they're different. We have been asking, and don't inundate me with suggestions yet, but like for ideas for domestic brands that won't get hit with tariffs and whatnot, to carry in the shop that are small builders and stuff that not everyone else has. And Swope is at the top of my list, but unfortunately, Chris is just busy. Let's see. Did I see Rhett's video on the katana? What do I think of katanas? So I played the katana that Rhett used in that video, in another video that will be on Rhett's channel at some point. Video. And I think katanas are great. I like both the katanas and the Catalyst. But yeah, I can't knock katanas, and they continually make them better and better, and they're so affordable. You know, I've said it so many times, but like I think your money spent on an amp for playing at home goes so much further buying a decent little modeler like a Katana or a Line 6 Catalyst, that you're just better off buying that and then saving your money for an amp, like a big tube amp that you can play outside of the house, or maybe when no one's home or whatever. But like as an everyday practice tool, you can't beat them. Anyway. Mark, what a great question. If you had to choose between going to Wildwood or CME to try out Les Pauls to make a purchase, where would you go? I would go to Wildwood, not because I have anything against CME. I love those guys and that store. I absolutely adore going to Chicago Music Exchange, and Chicago in general. I love Chicago. But there's something about Wildwood. It just feels like you're in the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's just guitars in cases everywhere, just everywhere, and they're all labeled with really detailed like labels. So, I mean, like, this is my experience, because I've gone to do videos and they're just like, go play stuff. It's like, just don't drop anything. I'm like, fine. So they just will let you loose, or they have let me loose. And I just, we'll go through all the cases, and there's just like thousands of cases with labels, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, and you just find one, and you take them in a room, play them, you're like, neat, and then you like wipe it down, you put it back, and it's just, it's more of treasure hunting than shopping. And I mean, when would that not sound more fun? But you're not going to have a bad experience at either place. And like I said, I adore CME as much as I adore the guys at Wildwood. I've bought more guitars from Wildwood, and Greg, Eds, and the team there are just some of the best in the business. And if you need a Fender, a PRS, a Gibson, anything that they carry, just hit them up and say Zach sent you, and they'll treat you right. Same with CME. Let's see. Recently acquired a Marshall Bluesbreaker 62 reissue. Wanted my take on the UA aux, mainly for attenuating. I don't like the aux for attenuation. I think it's better as like a recording solution, or a practice solution, but I think for attenuating, it kind of sucks the life out of it when you make it quiet. Attenuators are hard, though, so. Favorite character compressor? I don't like compressors. I got a super chat. Okay. Whoa, here we go. Man, I've been getting so many spam calls. Derek, $20. Man, thanks, Derek. That's awesome. That's going to the lunch fund. I have a 2013 PRS Experience single coil trim, 2 humbucker, 5909 with coil split. I've never liked the pickups. Contrary to reviews I've read, I find the bottom end weak and the highs to be brittle, harsh. Oh my gosh. Calls. We're not open yet. So, I mean, that's a really cool sounding guitar. One from the PRS Experience. It's awesome. I always wanted to go to one of those, and they haven't done one in a long time. So maybe one day. I got my PRS 40th anniversary pin on my jacket right now. But it kind of depends on what you want that guitar to do. So I kind of agree with you. I think it wasn't really till the 5815s that PRS really got their pickups dialed. When they started introducing the TCI thing. That's not all, BS. I think they really do. They figured out how to really dial in their pickups, and they've proven that over the past couple of years with all the guitars that have come out. But for me, I think PRS deserve kind of the best of the best, so I would probably go with something like Throwback. But it just depends. It depends on what sound you want. It's a really hard question to answer. So, you could go with something like, classic, like a JB and Jazz, and it's going to sound really good and be versatile and have a lot of character and life in a guitar that's already probably pretty great. But I don't know. Throw me some more questions, Derek. Just type, when you're typing in the question, at Mythos Pedals, and it'll pop up and I'll see it. Let me know what sound you want. That is the ultimate thing, because it's hard to recommend something if I don't know what you're going for. You're going for PAF, you're going for hot rod, you're going for like really low output. I don't know, but we'll find you something. There's man, so many pickups out there. Let's see. Thoughts on the Brickhouse PAFs? They're awesome. I have a prototype set in the guitar right now that I need to finish tweaking, if I could have a moment. But yeah. But they're great. And he's been doing great stuff. I'll be visiting Nashville in late July. What are the best music shops you recommend visiting? Well, High Voltage Guitars. You start here. You go to High Voltage, and you go to Eastside Music Supply, and then you go down to Nashville, around Nashville proper, and you get to Carter, Rumble Seat, Grunes. Maybe you swing over and visit Ryan over at Guitar Effects Pedals. Honestly, the high-end room, Tony, down at Guitar Center, is also awesome in Nashville. Nashville has a pretty good Guitar Center. And, maybe then you loop back up to East Side, go to Fanny's, and then come back to High Voltage and buy the thing that you saw when you first stopped by and you thought, you know what, that one is the best. Let's see. I'm 6 months into gigging. I'm 29, and I've been playing for 20 years, but I've only bought my first pedal 2 years ago. Hey, no time like the present, right? That's fine. There's no right or wrong answer to any of this stuff. And if anyone tells you otherwise, they're full of crap. If I could have one musician demo one of my pedals, who would it be and which pedal? Billy Gibbons and the Chupacabra. Easy, easy, easy. How about Dunnable? I'm not a big fan of Dunnable, personally. They just don't do it for me. I think they're really nice guys. But the guitars are just not for me, And other places around town have them, so yeah. I go to a local jam where they have a front of house rig. Is there a way I can plug my board into it so the sound guy can mix my volume a little better? Well, just ask him. So, I don't know. I mean, if you're having to play places where you're beholden to the front of house, or if you need a quiet stage or whatever, then you kind of do need to build a rig around that. I'm a huge fan of the HX stuff from Line 6 is super simple. You can integrate that into your rig and then, just say, here you go. This is what it sounds like. But I don't know. Just next time you go, maybe talk to him. Go early and just have a chat. Don't be annoying, and it'll be fine. That's the ultimate advice to anything, though, right? Don't be annoying. Don't get on someone's nerves, and everything should be fine. Let's see. Thoughts on the Inspired by Gibson Custom 62335? I haven't played the 335. I've only played the 60 reissue. Oh, I missed the Gibson Garage. Yeah, it's hard to remember all this stuff. What's my favorite Marshall style amp? Can't. Whoop. There it is. There. My PRS Hendrix 50 watt. The 50 watt. I haven't played the 100 watt, but the 50 watt Hendrix head it's amazing. Derek, here we go. Maybe a bit hotter bridge that cleans up well. Thoughts on coil split versus series parallel on the push instead of 2 conductor. I don't like series parallel switching stuff that much. I think it's okay on a bridge. I think neck, it's kind of like, who cares? So you could always do if it were me and I was going to keep all that, I would do series parallel on the bridge and then split on the neck. But you're looking for paths with a hotter bridge. Man, it's still just a hard question. There's just so many types of pickups. I just adore the JB Jazz. I don't know. I really like it. I think we get really caught up with the idea of everything having to be PAF and we kind of forget there are just good humbuckers. It doesn't have to be made like a PAF. So I don't know. They're not that expensive. If you want to try it, you can try it without, spending a ton of money. But I think that sort of thing is fun. Otherwise, I don't know. If it were my guitar and I loved it, I would custom order some short leg 4-conductor throwbacks. I'd probably do the SLE 101 Plus, as I think they work really well on PRS guitars. So that's what I would do. But they're also really expensive. So, you just got the Russo Chupacabra in green, Tex-Mex edition. Thoughts on the new PRS Special semi-hollow? It looks really good. I haven't got to play one yet. Is it possible? We got about 15 minutes here. Is it possible to do a short explanation on how different magnets change a PAF sound? Mainly interested in the A2 versus A5, short versus long. Yeah, I find A5 to be a little bit more stiff, with a faster sort of attack and feel to them. I kind of feel like you're playing an amp that's got a bit more of a solid state rectifier, if that makes sense. It just feels more responsive under your fingers. A little bit clearer on the top end, not as soft, with tighter bass for an A5. A2, everything kind of is a little bit softer. It's a weaker magnet, so it's not as strong, so it feels like it has a little less power. Now, there's also the idea of rough cast versus sanded, so that changes the sound of the magnet too. I prefer rough cast magnets personally, but yeah, I kind of think of most every PAF back in the day had some form or another of A5, and all these other Alnico permutations that people put in PAFs now are kind of replicating the feel and the sound of those A5s as they've aged and they've lost Gauss and whatnot. So, like, I'm sure there were permutations of Alnico that wound up in PAFs that are, you know, that weren't A5. But yeah. So I think A2s kind of have that softness that replicates the vibe and the voice of an aged A5. Short versus long. Most PAFs had a long mag. It would basically go to it was the width of the bobbin. And that gives you that classic sound. A shorter magnet has a little bit more of a focused sound that I think works really well in 335s and any sort of semi-hollow guitar. Solid body instruments, Les Pauls, SGs. I kind of like a long mag, but SGs, you know, most SGs that we know and love never had PAFs unless they had gold pickups. Most of them were all patent numbers, and most of those were short mag, but it's a different sound. So I think the long mag is better for solid body instruments. There you go. Andrew, what's something I'm looking forward to right now? I'm looking forward to going on vacation. Haven't been on vacation in a minute. Even though we're going to Florida to go to a theme park, walk around in 90 plus degree weather, it's still going to be a good time. I enjoy that kind of stuff. Well, I enjoy theme parks and just, I don't know, the ridiculousness of all of it. I really enjoy it. What's my recommendation for a 330 style guitar? Gibson or Epiphone. I like, you know, Eastmans are fine. I'm not a big fan of heritage semi-hollow guitars, personally. I think the new D'Angelicos are kind of, they just feel a little bit cheap to me. That's just me. But, yeah, I think, you know, you can get a good Casino for, under $600. And if you have a little bit more to spend, the Gibson ones are great. I really like Gibson's P90s too, by the way. I don't think they require a lot of fussing with, you know, just leave them alone. Oh, okay. My AC went out, so I'm $4,500 poorer today. How do I convince my wife I still need a Strat for my collection? If you don't have the money to spend, then you don't need it. Never go in debt on gear unless, you know, your life depends on it. Yeah. What's wrong with heritage guitars? Nothing. I just don't like the look and the vibe of the... Oh, no. I know the guy calling. High voltage. Okay. Actually, probably have to take this. Oh my gosh, the stream's almost over. Okay. Guys, I hate to end it a little early, but this is an important call, and he just hung up. Hopefully, it's about a guitar that shipped. Hopefully, it made it okay. Whew. All right. Okay. Sorry, everybody, to end this early, but that's a big phone call. So I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for hanging with me. If I see any more questions in the comment section as this kind of exists, I'll do my best to answer them. But thanks for doing the AMA Friday over here on YouTube. Catch you guys later. See ya.